Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager, small farmer, food maker, or artisan selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Catfield Swaite.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. Today, we're talking with David Thayer about kicking off America's Farmers Market Celebration 2024.
Here we go again.
Here we go. It's time.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by American Farmland Trust, protecting farm and ranch land to help foster a new generation of farmers. Your membership helps promote healthy food and a better climate for all of us. Voting in American Farmland Trust's annual Farmers Market celebration opens June 1st. So you have just a few days to check their website and be sure that your market's listing is up to date. To do that, go to markets.farmland.org and click Market Managers. For more information about all of their programs to keep farmers farming, click the American Farmland Trust logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com. Remember, no farms, no food.
All right, well, welcome back to Tent Talk today, everybody. We are talking with David Thayer, Director of Marketing and Outreach at American Farmland Trust, about America's Farmers Market Celebration kicking off later this week. So soon on June 1st. Welcome to Tent Talk, David.
Thanks for having me. Super happy to be here and so close to the celebration, too.
That's right. Coming right up.
Great timing. Awesome. Let's just jump in with a little personal background, personal experience of farmers markets. Kind of tell us about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, Director of Marketing at AFT, but also really the manager for the America's Farmers Market Celebration. And I have to say and raise up my awesome team that does incredible work year after year to really bring this celebration alive, bring it alive. And you know, for my background at AFT, again, come into it the last couple years from a communication standpoint, but really my background a little further back is in agriculture. I actually ran an operation in Vermont for about 8 seasons. I was a vendor at the Montpelier market, the berry market, the Groton market in Vermont for a number of years. So also a lot of experience as a vendor and have loved doing farmers markets all that time. And then got into some other work, working for conservation organizations, bringing in new audience and members. Also working for some CPGs for market research and on sustainability projects. So I'm glad to be back with American Farmland Trust. I was an intern at a college and came back after 20 years doing some other things to really kind of focus on where my heart is, which is protecting farmland and keeping farming families on that land.
Awesome. So it sounds like you were kind of the perfect person lined up to fill this role.
Dream job, honestly. And it's really the team. I mean, organization is grown. We've got about 200 staff across the country, most of who are working on the ground with farmers every day. Pilot projects and research, but I have a great job of storytelling about those projects and about the producers that we work with. So I feel honored to be back in this work.
That's awesome. So tell us a little about the AFMC. When did that start?
Yeah, so America's Farmers Celebration was really started 16 years ago. So this is our 16th year celebration. And it's taken a couple of different iterations, but it really grown out of our food systems work and our local planning for agriculture work, where AFT has been at the forefront, at the kind of urban edge where a lot of agriculture is threatened and farmland is threatened. Recognizing the need to build up and support local food systems has been part of the work for over 40 years, really. But then more recently, 20 years ago, we were directly involved in helping start some of the farmers markets in the DC area. We've since grown the celebration with partners like the Farmers Market Coalition and others. Basically, it's a way to celebrate and raise up the local food system itself. And I think that's important because our work generally is protection and keeping farmers farming. And this is really an awareness-raising, public action awareness-raising campaign to bring people who care about local food and care about their farmers markets to recognize the importance of kind of raising them up and promoting them and giving them a chance, of course, to win great prizes. But I think it's ultimately just to kind of recognize them and to celebrate them.
And how's the America's Farmers Market Celebration changed over the years, David? And so back in 2008, It was America's favorite farmers market, right?
Sure. Sure. And the name has changed. Certainly the makeup of the way we've promoted it. As I mentioned to you earlier, our celebration this year is just 2 months, and it's gone from 3.5 months down to 2, in part because farmers market managers are busy and people are busy too. And we recognize, the importance of raising up the celebration, but also that it's a lot of work to just manage farmers markets, to do promotion, week after week of what's going on with your vendors and really try to do your own thing. And this is a way to complement it and amplify, the work that's being done by farmers markets, not to replace it at all. So we felt like 2 months was a great way to kind of shorten and just sweeten that celebration. Other ways that it's changed, I think, include the way that we're amplifying the story at the farmers market through other media partnerships. So we have a good partnership with Edible Magazine, with Ag Daily, and with other media outlets where we're amplifying stories from farmers markets. So last year we did a great feature on farmers markets managers. This year we're doing another feature with them and a bunch of promotion, like sponsoring the farmers markets guides in over 20 cities across the country. And that's just a great resource. It's a guide that they publish for all the local markets that are available in the region. We feel like that's just another way to kind of raise up farmers markets and in a way that we can kind of amplify the work that they're doing, similar to what we're doing in the celebration itself. And then it becomes a place too to kind of recognize that, for those people that are coming to markets, invested in markets, they're, week in, week out, whether there's good weather or bad, that they have this connection to kind of the larger farmland protection cause that AFT is also really focused on.
Yeah, absolutely. Having them there, rain or shine, week after week, that's when farmers harvest. It was really the farmers that taught us that was important, to be there consistently, to be there rain or shine, so that they can keep selling their product direct to consumers and keep that retail price. So it's Edible magazines that you're talking about that have the city guides that you're working with?
Yeah, a lot of edible publishers put out a farmers market guide, and we're sponsoring a few of them. So I'll raise up our great partners because they're doing wonderful work, talking about local food systems all the time. We also talk with them about our other programs like Women for the Land, our Brighter Future Fund that serves underserved farmer grants, and ultimately a great partner to talk about a lot of our messages. But for AFMC specifically, we've got an initiative with 20 markets. I'm hoping to do more in the future, and really to get back to the AFMC sort of mission. It's really to raise up farmers markets and celebrate those local food systems, provide additional amplification, because the opportunity for farmers and for purveyors is so strong. I mean, I saw it firsthand. I grew a small business, that was a CSA, a meat bird operation. We eventually did, beverages, partly because there was demand at the farmers market. So it pushed us to kind of innovate as a business. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it hadn't been for, some of the feedback, customer interaction, at those markets. So the bottom line is that I think AFT is about that holistic picture of raising up farmland and the communities that support it, but also are served by it. And I think farmers markets are just a great place where all that happens. And so it makes sense for us to be there.
Absolutely. And we love having you there. It's always, so in terms of history, it's always been a people's choice situation, right? So it's always the winners are based on voting by the shoppers or the people that are familiar with that market.
That's right. Yeah. So, and this is another part of the celebration that's changed. As we've been able to grow and invest more money, our prize money pool has grown. So we're now at $15,000 distributed across a number of different categories of winners. So for this year, we have our, of course, national winner. We also have then second place, third place, and first place for each state. So there's ways for markets to win, whether they're large or small. And what we've seen historically is that it's not really about the size of the area or the metro that they maybe serve, but really kind of the market manager and the supporters and how active they get and excited that they get to support their market in the celebration. It's a feel-good celebration. So although there is prize money, it's also a bit of bragging rights, I think, too. We give everybody lots of great swag and so forth for participating. And this year, we're also doing a great sweepstakes for everyone who's voting, giving away a bunch of our AFMC swag with Edible. So, pretty much any way we can bring attention to the markets and also give market managers tools to talk about the celebration and get their audience excited about it. We're trying it. We're trying everything.
Yeah, it's great the way you keep evolving. I mean, and it's true, we do see some small towns win, but it is a little bit tricky because there's just less voters, of course, in a smaller town or a market serving a smaller area than there are with big areas. And especially with the cash prizes, you know, it's you have to start to wonder, as with all grant programs from USDA programs on, that markets with larger organizations and more resources and maybe PR firms or larger social media outreach because they've got a bigger population, they kind of have an advantage. Sure. Have you thought at all about, I don't know, maybe doing a small town and a large town tier or something like that to kind of even that out? Because it seems like with these programs, especially with once the cash gets involved, that maybe the folks that need the money the most aren't exactly in the best position to win.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great observation. And I think, you know, the data kind of bears out maybe a different story that like it's those markets in regions that you wouldn't maybe even expect or, you know, frankly, recognize that have actually done pretty well in the celebration. I think the reason is that what we see in a lot of those metros, and I think, you know, Kat, maybe you're familiar with this too. I mean, there are organizations that manage several markets, right? So what I've noted is that we don't see a lot of markets participate from the organizations that operate or run several farmers markets at once. We've seen, you know, maybe a little less participation in certain metro areas, but we're trying to work on that. We're always amplifying the set of resources that we've created for market managers. So wherever they are, whatever stage of development their market is in, we've got tools for them. And there's so many other great organizations that also support farmers markets and managers. But I think around the celebration itself, what we've seen is an evolution of the rules and evolution of kind of these categories of different winners. And we really wanted to make it, you know, a big umbrella celebration that any kind of market can win and participate. But you're right. At the end of the day, there is a kind of a people's vote element to it. And that is a great observation. It's good feedback. But I think also what we recognize is that whether a market wins or not, they're getting a lot of amplification of their message, you know, through our channels, a lot of resources to kind of engage with their audience and maybe kind of build that almost like marketing acumen themselves. I mean, I know as a farmer, you don't have a lot of time to think about the marketing of your products. You're busy doing things, right? So, I mean, they're great marketers that are farmers too. But I guess what I'm saying is that from kind of getting to the market and having so much to do already, this is just one more way, I think, to kind of relieve that pressure on farmers market managers to amplify up what they're doing. And if we can even get, you know, a few more people to their market or get a few more people to support that market, or even people thinking about, you know, well, I attend this market, but how do I really support it in other ways? You know, and do I consider volunteering or do I consider additional donation to the market organization? I mean, there's other ways for people to support their market managers that aren't always apparent. So I think, again, there's lots of good tools out there, lots of great organizations. We're just trying to turn the celebration into a resource for farmers market managers to do their own work and to do it well.
Yeah, and I think it's a great thing. And the regional part of it, I think, is helpful because it illustrates so clearly how widespread markets are, that they're in small towns and large towns, and they're in absolutely every corner of the country. I know that we had Chris Circus on from the West Windsor Farmers Market who had won at the state level, and we'll ask you in a minute to kind of describe what the tiers are, but she had won at the state level, and she's not a huge market, although it's been going on very long and it's beautifully done and it's got a really high percentage of farmers. It's not a very big market, and there are a lot of markets around her in other small towns and larger towns. But I know that when they won for the best market in New Jersey, I want to say it was year before last, we had her on the podcast, and she was saying that actually gave her the leverage to get the governor to come visit her market, and that then helped them when they were doing an initiative for markets all over southern New Jersey to achieve some things in terms of municipal and statewide support that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So she really found it advantageous to be able to say, hey, I'm calling from the best farmers market in New Jersey. Can I get through?
Sure. Yeah, and I think, again, we hear stories, too, of, you know, markets, certainly after the celebration's over and they've won. A lot of them get local television coverage or local media coverage since they're, you know, in the top tier or recognized as a national winner. You know, I've heard that story from other market managers and from past managers of the program who've you know, talked to market managers about this, is that, you know, again, they're doing their work, and I think they need to do it the way they feel like it, you know, works best for their community, whatever stage of development the farmers market's in. You know, we have resources, like I said, but it's a feel-good celebration. And back to your question, you know, we're identifying the top markets in each state. We're also categorizing them by region. So we've got the Northwest, a Southwest, a Midwest, a Southeast, and a Pacific regional winner. And I think that makes for some interesting tiers. So we've got kind of ways for people to do maybe even, kind of recognizing that they may have more than one market that they're really fond of. They can only vote for one market. And that's maybe another drawback of our structure, but they can certainly celebrate those other markets. They can certainly support those other markets. I hope it encourages them to go to more markets. And from our organization standpoint, that's just raising up the whole boat.
Well, and you've made a lot of the rules clearer this year, I know. So the thing about one person, one vote, one person, one email, that kind of thing this year, I know that you've gotten really clear about that. We've looked at your website and it's spelled out really, really clearly. Are there any highlights or changes to the rules that you think that markets should be aware of before they start their campaign?
No, and I appreciate you bringing this up because I think it's worth revisiting those rules. There are some updates, to the degree that we are just trying to emphasize that this is a feel-good celebration. We're not going to tolerate harassment. We're certainly not going to tolerate abuse. And unfortunately, that's happened in the past. Kind of the good nature competition occasionally turns a little ugly. We recognize that that's part of, the drawback of anything maybe with prize money or celebration like this. Kind of the net benefit, though, I think is greater and nets out to be a plus. But that's partly why we updated the rules, for instance, to really make markets accountable for their supporters, too. So to the degree that, it is still, one person, one vote, one email, one vote. We've also really kind of put the responsibility on market managers to communicate to their audience and to their supporters that harassment is not going to be tolerated and that their participation, is at risk if it's seen to be a problem. So that is an update. I think it's worth kind of mentioning. It's an unfortunate part of just growing the celebration with more and more markets and almost 200,000 people voting last year. I mean, that's a lot of activity, and there's inevitably going to be some bad actors, but we'll continue to look at the rules. We get good feedback from supporters and from market managers too every year about things that we can tweak. And I'll also emphasize that this year we're launching a new website. So we've got newmarkets.farmland.org, totally redesigned. Partly also an update to help protect from some of those robot bot voting issues, kind of problems that we've encountered in the past. And again, I think it's a sign of the growth and the success of the program that we're running into some of these challenges, but we are addressing them both from a technical standpoint, but also from a communication standpoint.
Yeah, and I think that's terrific. I mean, 200,000 votes is huge. It means that it really is increasing awareness of markets and making people sort of declare their loyalty to their local market. I mean, I think it's great that you call it a celebration now versus the old, favorite farmers market kind of thing. It makes it really clear that it's not exactly a competition, but of course, the folks with the most votes are still characterized as winners, so it is a contest. And I mean, I won't say that farmers market managers are inherently competitive, but aren't we all? Aren't we all to some degree?
I don't know,
right? I mean, everybody has a little bit of that. Was it always a requirement that the markets be registered with the USDA database as a farmers market? Or is that new?
I think that was originally part of the program, although I'd have to go back in the history to double check, to be honest. It's been the case for the last few years, as long as I've been involved. And I think, that reflects our desire to have the database, which has grown to over 7,000 listings now, to be as accurate and up to date as possible. I mean, each year we do a big campaign in the spring to market managers, and if you haven't heard already, get to markets.farmland.org to update your market listing before June 1st. But bottom line is you can always update your listings and make sure that the information is accurate. But I think we wanted a way to balance those submissions with other registries. And so, again, there's, I think, pluses and minuses of that. There are probably some unincorporated markets that can't take advantage of the farmers market celebration. On the flip side, I think that we're making sure that legitimate farmers markets, as defined as the USDA, kind of flow into our celebration too, and just sort of work as a check against any kind of bad actors. Again, unfortunately, I think that's sort of something that we have to do, but I'd like to emphasize too that the database has grown. 2,000 markets participated last year, but the database of 7,000 markets is really one of the premier resources of where to find local food. If you go onto the website right now, you can actually see a map of where these markets are, across the country and in your region. And in that way, I feel like it's kind of grown to be more than just a celebration in the summer, but it's really a year-round resource of where to find local food.
It is, yeah, and it's an amazing database. I know it's really hard to keep that all updated. Is there still a function for market managers or interested parties to go on there and maybe send you something that says, "Hey, this market's not around anymore, and this market's changed names," that kind of thing? Kind of keep tightening it up.
Absolutely, yeah, no, you absolutely. I mean, right? Of course, if you are the market manager, we encourage you to go and claim ownership and update your information just so we have the most up to date, because that's imperative. I think though you can always come to markets.farmland.org and register. If you don't have a listing already, or to your point, like if there are markets that don't exist anymore, or maybe duplicate entries. Sometimes that happens where they've been entered in the past, but the new market manager takes over and they didn't know there was an entry. So we do run into that, but just email us, and that's markets@farmland.org. We also do a resource guide for market managers, and that's something that's linked right off our page that is a downloadable resource guide with how to really activate your market for the celebration. But the best part is that it includes also templates for printouts and for table toppers and for things to put up at your market to raise awareness about the celebration and get people to vote while they're at your farmers market.
Yeah, I noticed your toolkit is really expanded. It looks wonderful this year. I think that'll help a lot of people. So, that kind of leads to this question. We've had some of the winners speak at the Intents Conference, and we've interviewed some of them here on Tent Talk. So we've heard some pro tips for generating votes. Have you seen any? Yeah, it's lots of things you can do to get the word out there. But have you seen any markets that have used techniques that were especially innovative or effective?
I see things every year that I'm impressed by, and as like I said, a former farmers market vendor, was always kind of thinking about, what do we do with our setup this week? How are we going to bring, something new to kind of freshen our visual or our presentation or whatever. I think what I see with the celebration is that the market managers that are already doing great stuff just have another way to kind of amplify it, right? So we're not giving them, any sort of new ideas, but sometimes those ideas that they have, I think, maybe we should roll these into our resources as sort of best practices or ideas for the future. And I would just highlight one of them from the last couple of years, which is one of the markets actually did a video basically around the celebration. So they shot a video in downtown, a really fun one with, I think it was, well, I'll call it, I believe it was the Moscow market in Idaho that did it. And, they shot this great video, used it to promote the celebration and also their own market. And that's an asset that, goes beyond just the celebration. I mean, they're able to use that for other promotion as well. And I think that video, and especially just short video, is increasingly important as a vehicle to get, to other platforms. I love podcasts, love long written form. We publish blogs. We do everything we can across all the communication tools that we can find. But I think increasingly video is a really smart way for managers to kind of capture the behind the scenes of what's happening at a market and really get those anecdotes and some of that heartfelt commentary that's frankly unscripted, but I think is really fantastic content once it's shared out.
Yeah, I mean, Bridget's social media manager, who's one of her market assistants, is basically a small filmmaker.
She is. She's a director, producer.
Right.
I can see Caitlin really going off with the American Farmers Market celebration.
For sure. And it's something fun to do, too, if you have the bandwidth as market management or your social media manager, your management team. It's it's fun and very fulfilling, and it's a nice reminder of like why we do what we do to get your vendors and your shoppers to talk about why they love your market.
Yeah.
I mean, how great is that when you're really busy or maybe stressed out with dogs or towing cars and things like that, and just hear your own people say how great your market is.
Yeah,
sure.
That's exciting for sure.
Well, and I would say even just like putting aside the celebration for the moment, like just, market managers, that have the resources to produce video and amplify it. I mean, I think also sharing those best practices among other markets. And we see a little bit of that, right? Like other markets are kind of seeing what the successful markets do. And then next year you see them roll out with some of those tactics. So in the end, the kind of competitive nature of the celebration actually spurs some innovation, right? And you kind of see how, maybe they really try to focus on trying to win or compete in the celebration one year, and all the stops that they pull out And I think, again, it's sort of pushing market managers and the communities that support them to really do everything that they can to raise awareness. Because, again, the core audience, is going to show up Saturday in and out, right? But, I mean, how do you grow the market 10% every year so that there's more opportunities? And for that next generation of farmers, there's new opportunities, right? Like, we have to be thinking about how we grow the audience of people that get to farmers market. I think the celebration does a great way in the summer just to kind of raise awareness and get people in the door. But a focus of mine and sort of where I want to go with all this is for us to be talking about farmers markets year round and to be using this as a resource for people to find local food at all times of the year and not just, a couple months over the summer.
Yeah, for sure. That's so exciting. And actually, the summer thing, I love what we talked about before we started recording today, that the farmers market managers are busy. And so kind of reducing the time also allows us to segue right from America's Farmers Market celebration into National Farmers Market Week, because you're actually going to be, it used to be the voting would go until mid to late September, but now it's wrapping up July 31st, which means we'll hear from y'all about winners right before National Farmers Market Week, which is it starts the first Sunday in August.
That's exciting. And I think, ultimately shortening the length, trying to make it short and sweet, like you said, reduce that burden on market managers, but also, really kind of drive as much attention in the early season of the farmers market year. And then, again, there's so much more to do later in the year and, people can move on from the celebration. But I think the residual effect of the celebration will hopefully continue and people will be excited to support, all the great work on farmers market week. But then, even in September in the fall, when, harvest and some of those winter markets come on, like, let's continue the momentum and, as much as possible, raise up those markets year round.
For
Absolutely.
Sure. You can take those videos that you recorded over the summer and replay them maybe during the winter months and just kind of remind everybody all the fun we were having over the summer. So
for sure.
Yeah,
that's right.
Really helpful.
Well, winter markets are great too. I mean, we used to do a great winter market in Montpelier, and it drew a totally different audience. And sometimes they were just one off because it's a cold climate. But again, I think that's just sort of another outlet, another way for vendors to kind of reach out and ultimately people kind of aching and missing, by that point in January, December, kind of that weekly market interaction. So everyone gets back together in the winter, and I'm hoping that we can do maybe a winter's farmers market celebration in the future too.
Oh, that would be fun.
That would be great. Yeah. I mean, there's so much fun stuff in the summer, and also like folks like us, we have year-round markets. And so we don't have like a busy or slow season, really. It's just, hopping over here. So it's nice to have those things activated during the winter months for us as well. So,
well, we've seen more and more markets go year-round as farmers have learned to extend their seasons with hoop houses and things. Sure. We're finding more and do value-added products and preserve some of their harvest. We've seen farmers markets all over the country and into Canada that are going year round now as opposed to being seasonal.
Yeah.
And that's a great sign. I mean, one of the things, article we put together last year was a kind of a chronological order of the farmers markets in U.S. history. And, it wasn't a full list, of course, but going back to maybe that first market, and I believe it was in Philadelphia, but, kind of recognizing that it's really kind of the last 40 years that farmers markets have grown and there's been growth. Not just in metro areas, but also in rural areas too. I think the farmers market celebration data base sort of shows that, and the nature of the competition and sort of who's winning also shows that there are really healthy markets all around the country. And going back to the story of AFMC, I mean, ultimately AFT started this to increase the number of markets and opportunities for local food system support. And I think it's succeeding. I mean, we're just a small part of it. But I love that that's been really kind of a part of the AFT story. And with AFMC, we just have this feel-good tool to provide resources, but also just to celebrate ourselves, with those farmers markets and with those managers, all the success that they've had and continue to have year after year as I think this continues to grow.
For sure. It sounds like so much fun work, but also so much work to manage a nationwide contest. It's such a huge undertaking. What's kind of in it for AFT? I know you're part of your, the part of your business model that's to increase shopper awareness and kind of farmers market growth. But does it generate a new AFT membership a lot with this contest, or how does that work with this?
Yeah, so ultimately, it's a great question. So we are a membership-based organization, and we're really looking for supporters to really engage with the celebration, regardless of whether they become members. But I think it's a good opportunity to kind of reflect how else do you support local food? What else are you doing? What are the other organizations that you might be a part of or supporting that focus on issues that you care about? And if you're at the farmers market, we're certainly kind of in that bucket of organizations that do work that you should care about, or maybe you do and aren't aware. So I think kind of raising awareness of the connection between the farmers markets and the land protection, the farmer viability work that we do, and basically broaden that story because I think those topics are relevant to the audience of people coming to farmers markets, but it's not always the first thing on your mind when you come into the market and you're looking for your baked goods, you're looking for your fresh veggies that week. But that should be at least something that people are thinking about as they value farmers markets, right? Is sort of how do we continue to support them, and what organizations are doing work to help those farmers that are fundamentally critical for the farmers markets themselves. So I may have gone off topic a little bit there, but I think for us, AFT is really about kind of innovating any models and tools that will help raise awareness. And this is definitely about raising awareness, but we also bring in a lot of new supporters who vote for the farmers markets that they love. And then they get a chance to learn more about our organization and what we do. And so in terms of conversion to membership, I don't know what the actual numbers are there, but I do know that we have a lot of audience that otherwise doesn't know about our work, that gets exposed to it, and then eventually engaging with other parts of what we do.
That's awesome.
So are there good reasons for farmers market operators and participants to consider joining American Farmland Trust? I mean, obviously, the bumper sticker says no farms, no foods. And for us in this business, clearly no farms, no markets.
Yep.
Right. And I think, there's as a membership-based organization, we're, again, always looking for members and donors or people that care about the work that we do. And we do so many different things in agriculture and in conservation that what I often tell people is once you visit farmland.org, you will find a topic or a subject or a story that resonates with you. But broadly, we're a research-based organization. We're doing a lot of pilot research on best practices. We're also buying, protecting, and selling farmland, having protected now almost 8 million acres across the country. We're at the same time giving out a lot of grants to farmers. So I think part of the reason farmers market managers and vendors themselves or farmers themselves would engage with us sort of through the celebration is also we were a huge conduit for resources to them as a grant-making organization, to do research. Like I mentioned before, we have a wonderful grant program called the Brighter Future Fund, which is a $5,000 seed grant to underserved farmers focused on LGBTQ communities and BIPOC communities. And those are just wonderful stories that we hear about really basic stuff. Someone needs a high tunnel, someone needs some irrigation, someone needs some business planning services. And so that grant can go to all sorts of things, kind of new farmers. And we do a lot of work on this question of what are we going to do when there's this generational change between the current farm managers and kind of the next generation. And we're seeing, kind of current farm manager population really age out. And so in the next 15, 20 years, when new managers are taking over, what we want to make sure is that they've been resourced with all the best practices and research that we've done. They've been exposed to the grant-making opportunities that we have. Or maybe just the website with kind of the free resources that are there, even for things like estate planning and succession planning. Every farmer faces at the end of their management cycle the question of who's going to take over their farm. So fundamentally, even if you're not a market farm or a truck farm that's involved in farmers markets at all, and you're a 10,000 acre farm somewhere in the Midwest, like we have a program that's relevant to you and services and pilots that can help you in your business, save money, improve your conservation practices, and just do your work, that much better. So I think really from an AFT standpoint, AFMC is a way to also raise awareness with farmers and vendors of all the resources that we have.
Yeah, that's a great reminder too for farmers market managers that are listening to share that information with their farmers and vendors, just because that's job security for us. Like, we need our farmers to stay farming so that, we can all work too, and our vendors to, get that business boost. So that's a great tool to be able to offer the folks that we work with as well. So,
and I'll add too that just, even if you're not a farmer, but you're a vendor in the markets or, an artisan in the markets that's not a food vendor, you've got an interest in the farmers markets, staying intact or growing and doing well. So from even kind of a local planning standpoint, or ensuring that the ordinances and the local zoning support your business and support the farmers markets and those sort of selling opportunities, I just think we've got a lot of resources even for local planners on like making sure that you're planning for agriculture, which includes things like farmers markets and agritourism and those opportunities that were maybe not part of the mix of normal farm operations in the past, but now are really great opportunities for new revenue. Often local zoning, local planning can't, contemplate those new opportunities or kind of fit them into the square pegs that they have in place. So we have an entire website, farmlandinfo.org, that's really a resource for the local land trust community and local planners on how to make sure that they're planning for agriculture into the future. So I think it all ties in, even if you're not in the food business, but using the farmers markets as an outlet and a way to sell your goods, you've got an interest in that planning for agriculture.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone
we say the shoppers follow the farmers and the vendors follow the shoppers. So
that's right.
Vendors definitely, even non-farm vendors, have a big interest in promoting farmers and making sure that farmers stay healthy because that's what the folks are coming to see.
Definitely. And your shoppers have a very vested interest as well. So
yeah,
sounds like all around we can get the whole team on board. We know that we need to get to the site, make sure our market listing is updated and correct before the contest kicks off. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners about getting ready for the contest that's happening shortly before we let you go?
No, I think most first and foremost is just talk to your market manager. If you don't find your listing, make sure if you are a supporter and your market manager hasn't got you listed up there, you can also suggest a listing and you can encourage them to reach out to us. So I think at the end of the day, my call to action is just to get out and get to the markets, whether they're participating in the celebration or not. The most important thing is just to be there and support it week in, week out. And for us, the celebration has just been a wonderful way of kind of amplifying all the great work. But the bottom line is that people showing up to the markets and supporting them with their dollars and with their energy is really what we're looking for. And so that's kind of my desired outcome, is just seeing everyone out at their markets, whether they vote or not.
Awesome. Love it. Very excited for the contest to kick off. And thank you so much for talking with us today, David. This has been so great and informational. We're excited for the contest this year.
Appreciate it. Me too.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
We appreciate American Farmland Trust for so many things, not the least of which being their willingness to listen when we've reached out to them about various aspects of the America's Farmers Market celebration over the years. We love the widespread attention that it brings to farmers markets nationwide. We also want farmers markets to remember that our competitors are not each other, but the commodity food systems that promote subsidized processed food over fresh and prioritize corporate profits over the financial stability of small farmers. Keeping in mind that all of us are on the same side, a little friendly competition can be a good thing and can create a positive wave of excitement for your shoppers and your participants. So get out there and encourage your fans to vote, starting this Saturday, June 1st. Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to American Farmland Trust for supporting small farmers and ranchers, preserving land for the next generation, fostering awareness of farmers markets nationwide, and for supporting Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, and the annual Intense Conference. For more information about their work and the celebration, click the American Farmland Trust logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow Farmers Market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community, and follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros. Find online education and other resources at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is hosted by Kat Fields White and Bridget Myers and produced by Leandra Hayes, with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.